The Bible tells us, Proverbs 22:7, that the borrower is servant to the lender. Romans 13:8, owe no man anything except to love one. See, the Bible's real clear. Stay out of debt. You lose your freedom when you get into debt. Well, that applies for individuals. It applies for families. It applies for churches. It applies for states. It applies for the nation. God doesn't want you in debt, which is why Deuteronomy 15:6 says your nation is not to go into debt. Here we are. That's not a political issue. That's a biblical issue. God spoke about that a long time before America ever existed. We also have taxes. That's an issue with Congress. One of the taxes we have is the estate tax. For the first time in American history, this last budget deal, we made the estate tax a permanent tax. Twice before, it's been a temporary tax, never a permanent tax. It's now a permanent tax. So what? That's what Congress does. They deal with taxes. No. The Bible tells us the estate tax is one of the most immoral type of taxes you can place on a nation. The Bible absolutely condemns estate taxes. You also have the issue of capital gains tax. America, in the fiscal cliff deal, we made the capital gains tax the highest capital gains tax of any nation in the world. We have the highest. So what? What do you mean, so what? Jesus has two entire teachings condemning the capital gains tax.
Jesus condemned the capital gains tax. That didn't exist back then. He says it like, he's like, what do you mean? Of course. Jesus wrote how Wells Fargo is awesome, how Citigroup should get a bailout, no strings attached, CEOs are the shit, and capital gains is terrible. He wrote it. He wrote it. This guy is the worst historian ever. And you know he's the worst because he's Glenn Beck's historian. Jesus would be against the capital gains tax. Okay, do you guys know what the capital gains tax is? It's basically a tax on money that you make via investments in the stock market. And let's be clear here, it affects mostly rich people and specifically people on Wall Street who are in the financial services industry. So would Jesus really be totally against taxes that are taxes on the rich? Are those the taxes he's really concerned about? No, I think Jesus would be much more concerned about sales tax, for example, which disproportionately affects middle class and poor people. Certain kinds of state taxes he would be against. Now, he is talking about the estate tax, which is different. You know what that is? Again, that's a tax that only affects the richest of the rich. I think less than 1% of the country gets hit with the estate tax. You know who it applies to? People with estates. Do you have an estate? And what that does is it taxes rich dead people. After a really rich person dies, instead of them being able to hand down, let's say somebody has $1 billion, instead of them just being able to hand it down to their shitty kid, which likely did nothing in their life, the government says, okay, look, we're going to allow you to still be a rich, shitty kid and do nothing for the rest of your life, but we're going to take whatever it is, 39% of that, 50% of that, whatever it happens to be. That's only one of the taxes I'm most in favor of. I mean, Bill Maher said it best. If there was ever somebody to tax, rich dead people should be number one on the list. But again, Jesus would be concerned about that. Jesus is like, this goddamn estate tax, this is what I really care about. Jesus wouldn't be more focused on, say, war? The war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, the killing of civilians overseas, the CIA torture program. You're giving a speech about how Jesus is against the capital gains tax and the estate tax, but the CIA did torture. They did anal rape and anal feeding and hypothermia torture and mock burials and loud music torture for a day straight, hours on end. They'd play shitty music really loud and it would drive somebody insane. They'd go psycho as they listen to that stuff. Waterboarding, sleep deprivation. But no, Jesus is like, torture? Wars? Income inequality? 45,000 people that die every year because they don't have access to basic medical care? We'll get to that later. I don't care about that. Medical bankruptcies being the number one cause of bankruptcy in America? No, whatever. No. The capital gains tax. Oh, now I'm angry. Yeah, that's what Jesus is angry at. The capital gains tax and the estate tax. And also, let's be clear here, as if you don't already know this. Every claim he made there was fake. So at one point he goes, well, the capital gains tax in America is higher than anywhere else in the world. You know how quickly I was able to debunk that? Because when he said that, I gotta be honest, I didn't know. I was like, I don't think so, because I knew the capital gains rate is 15%. I'm like, that doesn't sound right, but I don't know. Let me check. Let me see what's going on here. There's a Wikipedia page that details literally the capital gains rate in every single country. And there's ones at 27%, 35%, 22%, and we're 15%. Not only are we not the highest, we're like in the middle somewhere. Shameless. He just shamelessly lies. And it shouldn't be surprising because he wrote a book about Jefferson, which got some sort of non-award for being the least accurate history book in print. I think it was like historynewsnetwork.com or something like that that gave that to him. So we're talking about a guy who's just totally off base here. And then finally, let's get to his point on debt. He made it earlier on there. He said, well, the Bible's clear. Don't go into debt. Said, come on, it says it right there in the Bible. Well, we should abide by it. Well, first of all, let's nip that in the bud, too. The idea that since it says anything in the Bible that's how we should run the government. I mean, the whole point of the United States of America is to do the opposite of that. We have a secular country. Religion is supposed to be separate from state. The Establishment Clause makes it like that. So talk about flipping it on its head. That's exactly what he did there. But even if we buy into that, listen to the Bible when it comes to the issue of debt. Interesting. So what does it really say? Deuteronomy 15:1 says, quote, at the end of every 7th year, you must cancel the debts of everyone who owes you money. Oh, I see how it really works in the Bible. So we have a debt jubilee every 7 years. So everybody with your credit card debt, with student loans, over $1 trillion of a student loan debt crisis. So if you really want to implement biblical values, buddy, why aren't you out there saying eliminate all student loan debt like that? Free college for everybody. Would Jesus be against free college? Who would Jesus deny an education to? I'm curious. You want to tell me? Who would Jesus deny health care to? I'm curious. You want to tell me? Again, debt jubilee every 7 years. So you're willing, David Barton, to eliminate all debt from medical bills tomorrow, right? If you believe in the Bible, you want to do that, right?